Here are 28 of my greatest failures as an entrepreneur and maybe how you can avoid some of them. My name is Kasim. I've built 6 multi-million-dollar businesses. I've had 2 successful exits. I've generated a $1,000,000 net worth. And my goal in life is to help you achieve 3x freedom. That's financial freedom, freedom from limitation, freedom of purpose. And I spent a lot of time talking about all the cool stuff I've done and all the money I've made. I want to talk to you about all the epic failures. And there have been a lot of them. I have a list of 28. First on my list is losing my house to foreclosure. I bought my first house when I was 20 years old. I lost my first house when I was 22 years old. The bank was very quick to remind me that that wasn't my house at all. The lesson I learned there is debt is an evil and pernicious lie that makes us think that we have more than we really have, and it's to be avoided at all costs, especially for entrepreneurs. Number 2, getting my first luxury car repossessed. It happened at the same time on my foreclosure. I was building software for banks. The banking world collapsed. It was the 2008 financial crisis, and so too did all my businesses. Lost my house, lost my car. Repossession was tons of fun. I did get really good at backing into spaces, so that was one benefit. And you do that so that when people are driving by, they can't see your license plate and then they can't tow the car away. They did ultimately find it, and they got it. It was my baby, and now it's gone forever. Number 3, dropping out of university. I had a full ride scholarship to the University of New Mexico, not because I'm smart, but because the state of New Mexico pays for everybody to go to college through the lottery scholarship, and I just stopped going. I wish I could tell you there was a catalytic moment. School was not for me, and you want to talk about a fail point, because I think that there was something to be learned there that I missed out on, and it wasn't education. It was camaraderie. I wish I had joined a fraternity. I wish I'd had, made real friends outside of the people that just grew up on my block. I wish that I'd gone out partying. I wish I had that university experience. Number 4 is dropping out of community college. I dropped out of university, failed at that. A few years later, I went to Scottsdale Community College for film, dropped out of that. School and I don't agree. Number 5, on the same theme, quitting real estate school. I don't know what my problem is. There's something about the certification of the degree that I just don't want, I guess, because I went all the way through real estate school. I went to all the courses. I think it was 4 weeks or something, and then I just didn't test. It felt like a failed endeavor at that point. I was never going to be a realtor. I was fixing and flipping houses, and all I wanted to do was save the 3 or potentially 6% on the realtor commissions. I don't know if it was a laziness or failure or what, but I couldn't bring myself to go get tested. Number 6, getting myself 6 figures in debt. I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, depending on how you measure. Some of it secured, some of it unsecured. And it all happened because as a young entrepreneur, I started to make more money than I'd ever been exposed to in my life. And with money comes the ability to leverage. And I thought that's what you were supposed to do. So I thought leverage was the very next step. And by leverage, I just mean, credit card debt, home debt, asset-based debt. And when the economy collapsed around me and I was unable to service this debt, all of my things were taken. Digging yourself out from debt is really difficult. Here's what I did. Wouldn't recommend it. I tanked my credit. My credit ended up just being melted. I think it was single digits. And what I noticed was creditors started to reach out offering settlement. And I was able to settle debt for quite literally pennies on the dollar in some instances. The hardest people to negotiate with was Discover Card, by the way. I think I got Amex down to like literally 10% of what I owed them. If I owed them 60 grand, I think I paid them 6. And I hired an attorney out of Tucson, Arizona, and I paid this guy $250. I found him on Craigslist. And I said, your only job is if somebody says, are you Kasim's bankruptcy attorney, to say yes. And I think he was in a tough spot too, because he agreed to that. And so when creditors started to call me, I started to answer the phone. I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna be able to make this happen. I'm declaring bankruptcy. You can talk to my attorney. And instantly they'd go from asking for 70, 80, 90 cents to 10 cents. And I was able to settle with everybody. The key to doing that is to do it all at once. Line everybody up, negotiate all of it at once, and then pay them off. Because when they start to see that you're paying off other creditors, they stop negotiating. So that's how I got myself out of hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Failure number 7. This is multiple failures all stacked into one. Multiple evictions. I have been evicted from so many apartment buildings. Me and my brother would play leapfrog. I got us into an apartment. We had no income. We were massively unemployable. We were trying to figure business out at the time. I knew we weren't going to be able to pay for that apartment. We got 3 months free because we signed an 18-month lease. I started a default because we didn't have any money. And then we got an apartment in his name, close enough to where we thought we were going to get kicked out, got evicted, got into this next apartment, same story, had no money, started a default. And then because my eviction was more than a year ago, I was able to get us into what amounted to, I don't know, there were literal heroin dens. But by doing that fun leapfrog game, I was able to continue to keep a roof over our heads in the face of multiple evictions. I laugh about it now. It was the most depressing time of my entire life. It was horrible. The economy had collapsed. For anybody who was alive at the time, and I realize how old I am, the opportunity for employment didn't exist exist, especially in certain regions. Phoenix was a good example. I remember I applied for a warehouse job at Target. I applied to empty trucks early in the morning on the loading dock at Target, and I wasn't qualified to do that. Like, they had so many people coming out of the woodwork willing to do anything. So I'm not making light of the fact that I wasn't paying on my obligations. I turned over every stone, and it didn't feel available or accessible to me. Number 8, I had to borrow $1,000 from my blind mother. My mom is blind. I talk about that sometimes in my YouTube videos. She's been on disability since I was 12 years old, meaning I think she gets, like, I don't know what Social Security disability is. I think it's $2,000 a month, but you can look it up. Available data, so I'm not airing out my mom's business. So my mom has raised me and my brother since we were kids on $2,000 or whatever it's been, and has very little to show for it. God bless her, because life is expensive. I ended up in a position where I owed payroll. There were a couple of people that were working for me on a project, and they had done their work, and the people that we did the project for owed me money, and they were late. And I never would have borrowed money from my mother, except I owed people I think they were in Pakistan, so I owed people in an emerging nation where not getting paid can be catastrophically damaging. So I went and I borrowed $1,000 from my blind mom. I like to talk about how I'm self-made, and I was in a trust fund baby, and I had a mom lend me $1,000, which is more than some people had. Number 9, I moved to LA to be an actor, and I didn't go on a single audition because I was terrified. It's fun because acting led to entrepreneurship, but that leads to number 10 on my failures is I quit acting. Number 11 is I quit filmmaking. I wanted to be an actor, I quit. I wanted to be a filmmaker, I quit. And I think it was because I was so afraid of the idea that I would fail at it. It was easier to not try, it's something I regret now. I wish I could go back. I wish as a kid I really gave that an honest shot. I don't know how many acting gigs there are for 9-foot tall, half Pakistanis, but it would have been nice to at least say I tried. That's still one of those that kind of stings if I give it enough time. Number 12 on my list of epic failures is I got sued by Apple. I tried to list a trademark for a product that we launched called Apple Box, and Apple came with a 400-page slapped me in the face and told me in no uncertain terms that they weren't going to let me do that. Number 12 is I got a friend and a client sued by Getty Images. Getty, I hate you with everything inside of me. You're horrible, pernicious patent trolls. I hope everybody in your organization stubs their left toe and isn't able to walk for a full day. That's as much vengeance as in my heart. But what a terrible organization Getty Images is. I'm so glad to see them burning in the face of all things AI. Number 14, I got pulled from main stage at Traffic and Conversion. My biggest goal in life was to speak on main stage at TNC. I was scheduled to speak on main stage at TNC. I was billed to speak on main stage at TNC. And minutes before I was supposed to go up, a person who's actually my friend, she was just the bearer of bad news. She came to me and said, "Hey, Kasim, we're not going to need you." And I had pissed off the powers that be to a point to where they didn't want me to speak anymore, and it was really sad. Number 15, I built a traffic course. It's actually a traffic course that digital marketers sells right now today. We shot that course 60 days before Google launched Performance Max. And so as of today, that course is still for sale, by the way. Do not buy it. Don't buy it because it's massively outdated. We shot a course teaching people how to run Google Ads. 60 days after shooting the course, Google rolls out the biggest change in Google ad paradigm that ever existed, and it basically nullified everything that we had taught. And even though the course was great, it was no longer applicable. And because it was just too hard, Digital Marketer chose to just continue on with the course. So I tell people, with all due respect, even though I love the folks at Digital Marketer, please don't buy that course. You're buying something that's massively outdated and has not been updated, at least at the time of this recording. Number 16, I created a Facebook course for Pedro Adeo days before the iOS 14 update. God apparently doesn't want me selling courses. So we created this Facebook course that was supposed to go to everybody that was in his community, which was, he's the challenged king, and shot the course. It was in the can, it was ready to launch, and then Apple rolls out the iOS 14 update, which kills all things Facebook, and I told Pedro, dude, we can't sell this thing. It's not going to work for people. 17, more courses. I created 50 courses for Montessori schools that nobody ever watched, because Montessori schools, I found out, wanted services, not courses, what led to my Montessori agency. 18, 19, 20, all failed agencies. I launched a failed agency for stonemasons, a failed agency for cosmetic dentists, and a failed financial services agency. That third one was really recently, by the way. 21, I tried and failed to be famous on Twitter. You can go to my Twitter profile and see my failed attempt. It was horrible. 22, I sold my AMC stock days before it would 10x. It would have been $1 million. I put $100,000 in AMC because I was watching the Reddit kids, and I was like, these guys are brilliant, and this diamond hands thing makes a lot of sense to me. And I put in 100 grand, and it dropped to 80 grand, and I thought, you know what? Not for me. This is too much risk. And so I pulled, took the 20 grand loss, and then it skyrocketed. I think at the peak I would have made like 900,000, or it would have been worth 900 grand. So less my basis, I would have made $800,000. I spent tens of thousands of dollars building a SaaS platform called Change Illustrator that failed miserably, and I never got off the ground. I sold Purified Mercury online. This is number 24, and I was shut down by Google. Number 25 is I generated hundreds of motivated seller leads from mobile home parks that I was never able to close. 26 is I bought a multifamily property in St. Louis that ended up being an absolute slum and got sued over later for lead-based paint that wasn't my fault or even in my property. It was just a law firm that ran around suing every property in that area because some of them had lead-based paint. 27 is I bought NVIDIA days before the biggest tech sell-off in stock market history. Don't follow my stock advice. And number 28, I built an entire business around one vendor that one day woke up and fired me with 30-day notice. I don't know how self-serving this video was, but what I wanted to do is just put out into the ether that I talk about a lot of my successes. I want to talk about my failures, and these things are going to happen to you. As an entrepreneur, you're going to lose money, make the wrong decision, partner with the wrong person, take a swing that misses, and some of it's going to happen really publicly. I think this is about as public as I can get with some of these failures. Failure is the cost of admission. Failure is the tuition that you pay. So, I know I laughed at some of these. A lot of them hurt bad. And for so many of them, I can actually track how they got me to a point of success. Alchemize your failures. Take inventory. Keep track of them. They're a badge of courage. If you can fail and get back up, man, that's all it takes. You just keep doing that. Fail and get back up. Fail and get back up. Fail and get back up. Most people can't. And I'm not shaming them. I feel for them too. But there's a skill to surviving failure that it will lead to an inevitable success on a long enough timeline. And that's what I hope for you. So hope this video was helpful. I feel what my friend calls a vulnerability hangover right now, which is sharing all my failures in one video. So if you want to help me feel better about myself, drop your failures in the comments. The more vulnerable, the better. I ask that you be kind to people that are sharing. And if there's any of you that, see or experience failures similar to others, I think that type of conversation can really help people not feel alone. Because sometimes when you feel like you're the only one failing. So drop it in the comments, be supportive of other people that are doing the same, and I'll see you tomorrow.